welcome to Breakfast Central on News Central on a Tuesday morning. We are indeed ready to go full throttle. It's a lot of stories right from yesterday up until today. Somebody is being looked for. He has been declared wanted by the police. And not forgetting to the story concerning the United States and Nigeria still eating up. And we are here to bring to you every single bit of it. I'm Joe Hansen. Good morning. And
in case you're wondering who the someone that is being looked for is, it is Omoyele Sowore, who was at the forefront of the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest, was arrested by the police, granted bail, and now it would seem that, you know, he's been asked to return back for further investigation. But we hope that we can connect. We will connect with him live this morning to bring you updates regarding what the next steps are, what the police complaints are. It's just a bit confusing. What else? I mean, this matter we thought was already in court. Why is the police calling him to come back again? And why did they need to grant that very, some would call dramatic press visual statement?
In Gen Z parlance, Sadie Gill's vibes this morning. She's in a very regal and very royal state. I wonder what's going on with her. But beyond that, let's get straight to the business of the day. I mean, it's not a laughing matter, the things that are happening in this country. So much to talk about and so much to look into and also dissect and give you insightful conversations, as always, on Breakfast Central. I'd also like to appeal to the Lagos State government. The Lekki-Ekpe Expressway is in a very, very terrible state. They say to whom much is given, much is expected. You know, Lagos State government is always so quick to, you know, say we generate the highest level, highest IGR in Nigeria. But why are you not putting it to very obvious good look? That's a major road artery in Lagos, and to see it in that state, it's really, really sad. And also, Ikeja here, where in Agedingbi, Latif Jakonde Road, the number of potholes, it's terrible. Every time I hit a pothole, it's almost like, you know, my body shakes. It's not a way to live. And driving around in the night, everywhere is dark. So please, at Lagos State, there's more to governance than, you know, dancing with Sierra and E1 racing. People really need to feel the impact of governance. That's just my 2 cents.
I think you woke up and you felt
angry.
Yeah, I felt the
No, it's not angry. As a Lagosian of over 40-something years, I can say I've been proudly living in this state consistently for 4 decades, but in and out.
I see where you're coming from, because today I drove myself, I mean...
we deserve good infrastructure. I mean, that's just the barest minimum. Basic. You were in Vietnam, you've traveled around the world. You don't, I mean, this is not normal. We're not in a state of war.
At least not with the kind of, I hear you completely with the potholes. Today I was driving to work, and in all fairness, I haven't been driving to work myself, but I drove today, at least for a huge chunk of the drive. And I see what you said with potholes, and it just dawned on me that I was driving, I was thinking, man, I need to call my mechanic, because all the people I was hearing on the road as I was going, I'm just like, nah, man.
And that's the thing I hate the most, when you drive and then you hear... My mechanic knows. He knows. Because once I call him, he will say, I say, come, what is it?
I hate
because
the sound.
You remind me of me being in a downfall. Exactly. It's normal. It's a norm. You downfall, in a downfall, if you don't hear then it's not a downfall. But when you're driving your car, you know, you spent money. In short, when you hit any pothole, your heart...
It's like a child is falling down from your hand.
I almost want to tell the car that sorry, it's not like...
No, you know what is coming. And I agree with you, but just to announce as well, yesterday there was a press statement. The federal government approved the temporary use of Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway
to relieve traffic
following a truck accident that occurred on Monday at the Chisco area of Lekki. Yesterday I passed there. It was terrible, and this caused significant traffic congestion. But Lagosians, especially those who live along the Lekki Ajax, are asking, why is it that it is just because it was an accident that you allow people to use the temporary road?
After all,
rather,
Mr. President has commissioned the first 30 kilometers.
You see, there's a lot that has gone wrong, that makes me question the current state of what we're seeing in terms of governance. You commissioned the road wasn't ready. Why did you commission the road? Secondly, you opened the road for free flow of traffic because there was to be honest, there was mad traffic yesterday. Why don't you just allow that road to be open? Fix a time spot for that road to be open, maybe from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Okay, that's
every day. Let it be open 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every day, and then shut down. Then in the evenings, let it be open from 4 to 7.
During peak periods.
I think I see where you're coming from. That makes sense. But I also understand where they're coming from because there's a concern of it's an active construction. I went through the road sometime last week. They're doing really great work there. Leave they're doing great work. They're doing great work there. And there's a fear of we're not yet completed this work. And if we open the roads, people are going to spoil it, especially the trucks. And I wish they would ban trucks from passing those roads. This morning, on my way to work, 2 trucks.
Did you see the way they were driving this morning?
My goodness. One, I was behind the 2 trucks. So as expected, I was honking, trying to overtake the 2 trucks. We're about to enter into a narrow way. Tell me why the second truck just immediately jumped into the lane
so it was
to
3 of
prevent
you,
me. And then he overtook the first truck. And I'm just like, you're a huge truck. Why are you
it's just
endangering our lives?
Sometimes you wonder if this drivers are even trained.
So there were 2 of them, but I wish I had a camera.
They think they're driving
I didn't want to start bringing up my phone. I need to buy
we need to install
a camera in my car. Because it would have been great to share that video. 2 of them were now on a narrow road.
I really thank God for your life. Every day you go from point A to point B in this country.
You say thank God. We thank God extra.
Anyway, let's move to Wake Up Conversations. Our very first story on Wake Up Conversation has got to do with recycling an old video. Well, I'm sure you're aware of what happened over the weekend where the United States President Donald Trump had mentioned that he's looking forward to ensure that the United States soldiers rein in on the insecurity crisis that's bedeviling Nigeria. And one of the things that was mentioned was that he cannot wait to have his soldiers, the United States soldiers, come straight to Nigeria and take care of the insurgencies. But in line with that, we discussed this extensively yesterday. Just yesterday, the Nigerian military decided to prove that it is indeed working very hard, especially with the commissioning of the new service chiefs. And they put out a statement, a press statement on X, and a video. And this is what you have there on the screen. It said, troops of 12 Brigade rescued 2 kidnapped victims and recovered ransom in Kogi State. Now, this is a long story, so we're not going to spend so much time reading it, but it says that in a sustained effort to rid Kogi State of criminal activities, troops of 12 Brigade Nigerian Army deployed at Forward Operating Base FOB Oguma have successfully rescued 2 kidnapped victims and recovered the ransom money meant for their release. Now, that's not all. Like I said, we're not going to spend so much time reading through it. If we come down to the last paragraph, it says, following the encounter, the troops rescued the victims and recovered the sum of 3.8 million naira. That's 3,800,000 naira intended for ransom payment. The rescued victims were immediately debriefed to aid further operations, while the recovered cash was handed back to them. They are currently in safe custody at the troops' location pending handover and so on and so forth. And
Joe, I think you should even read the paragraph before.
Okay, all right, let's
go back to the paragraph that starts with however, because that particular paragraph, if you now put it vis-a-vis what the report is.
Okay, all right.
It says, go ahead. Please.
Okay, it says, however, while en route to the location, Nigerians, Lagos, take note, the troops came under fire from the criminals. In the ensuing exchange, the gallant soldiers engaged the bandits with superior firepower, forcing them to abandon 2 victims along with the ransom money. The criminals subsequently fled into the forest with various degrees of gunshot wounds.
All right.
And if you go to the
strength and the superiority,
the battle front line and so on and so forth. But here's a twist to the story. Let's see if we can have the pictures up. So you see pictures circulating that were equally shared. Those are the 2 victims and so on. But there's this sad twist to this story. Nigerians who are very, very savvy with social media and news dissemination, vigilance in terms of everything, decided to highlight a very worrisome issue here with this story. Apparently, this picture and the story, the images rather, do not in any way support the story. Rather, the images you see on the screen there have been highlighted to be an old rescue mission. Old, not new. But for context, let's get to see what the tweets have got to say in terms of reference post. We're going to see what it is. The General Snow says, why are you lying? These are people's lives you're playing games with. Tell me how we will ever believe anything from this handle. This is social media era. We will know the truth. And let's take more tweets very quickly, more X's, if you want to put it that way. You people have rolled back to snatching random pictures from the internet and reporting it as a rescue update. How are you reporting updates from 9 months ago? What level of incompetence have you descended to? God, what did you bring me here? Salako, don't fret. Let's take more. Dear U.S. Army, this one tags the United States Army. You cannot threaten us. We have 50 million equally capable, very motivated young men and women like this in the NY. No, this one has got to do with the NYC and so on. Yeah. They will be well equipped and so on and so forth in reaction to that, and also in reaction to that story as well. Okay. Now, this one says, it's good to see our soldiers in continuation. It's good to see our soldiers sharing more of their successes publicly. Sadly, some folks are quick to link it to the Trump drama. Let's be clear. Real military operations are planned with precision and not a reaction. Political noise. Give credit where it's due. Our troops are doing the work regardless of who's making headlines.
I agree with this, but I mean, the people, all the people, some level of, I mean, not some level, you need to come out and say the truth.
And they have come out.
There are issues here.
The Nigerian Army, while we're on air, they've come out. Yes. They've come out with an update that is barely 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
And in response to the update, let's come back to give the update. It says, troops of 12th Brigade deployed at Forward Operating Base, Oguma, on 2nd November 2025, successfully rescued 2 kidnapped victims, and images from the operation were duly released through an official Nigerian Army press statement. Regrettably, certain unpatriotic elements have circulated doctored and misleading versions of these photos, falsely alleging that they were recycled from an earlier incident, an entirely baseless and malicious claim. Even more concerning is that some individuals and bloggers without proper verification have amplified this misinformation aimed at discrediting the Nigerian Army, a professional institution constitutionally mandated to defend the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Nigeria. We urge all citizens, particularly social media users, to verify information before sharing and to refrain from spreading false or misleading content capable of undermining public trust and national security. We remain steadfast in our commitment to truth, professionalism, and the defense of our dear nation. And they tag Uncle Ayo, because Uncle Ayo is the one who brought this to light when he posted 16 hours ago saying, you're uploading updates from 9 months ago. Are you cursed? And then he puts screenshots of the Nigerian Army's uploads, you know, regarding this.
The uploads Uncle Ayo put up was on what platform?
On X. So he did
the Nigerian Army.
He did a screenshot of
the dates as well.
Dates from, from like posts from different blogs, from Linda Ikeji's blog, Threads, or one Instagram page.
So when you go through Nigerian Army's timeline, do you see that post there?
Well, you would have to scroll down, and I haven't scrolled to the bottom to see that. So, anyway, the question now is, what really is the true position if Uncle Ayo is sharing the screenshots and the Nigerian Army is saying, and again, I'm bringing this up because we live in an era where truly things can be doctored. And that is not to say that this was doctored, because we do not know for sure. But in the advent of AI, I saw a video of myself and somebody having a dance, and I did not dance with this person. And they sent me the video. It was a photo of the both of us that was then doctored into us dancing. It was AI. And I said, when did this happen? And the person laughed and said, oh, it's AI. So things, and that's the fear. Yeah. That even when things are true, people would then lie and say it's AI. So how do we then find out what is true?
So we wait for a few hours, and if that's not the true position of this, Trust X will put a community note on the latest rebuttal by the Nigerian Army. So let's just give it some time. But lessons have been learned, and let's not distract the men and women of our armed forces. They're doing, regardless of political noise, they're doing a very good job, sometimes at a very grave personal price. Some of them lose their lives, so they need to give them all the support they need and all the resources to deal with the issues of terrorism. And some people yesterday said, you know, the Vice President attending a defection event by Governor Diri yesterday. The optics doesn't look good, especially at this time in our nationhood. No nation has ever threatened to, fire and brimstone to unleash mayhem on Nigerians like the incident that happened over the weekend. This is unprecedented. That what the president should have done is, or the vice president, is visit military formations, boost morale,
right.
Confidence building rounds, and not go about politics.
So Gbenga, it also brings to mind what people are talking about. And by this, when we say people, we mean very well-meaning Nigerians. The worry is that there's a lot of politicking as regards handling the matters that are right in front of us.
All right. Okay, gentlemen, let's now quickly move on to our next story. This is, of course, still not the army, but this time the police. But we want you to take a look at this video. The Kwara State Police officer has been caught extorting motorists.
Oh no,
take
not
a look
again.
at this video.
Happy customer service week.
I don't my video arawani. I don't my video arawani. I don't buy. One dollar away any. When you get on my kidaba, I don't be $1 I walk up. I like it up and when you get also, I don't be by $1 on motor. Consider to buy a lot of doy. Consider to buy a lot of doy. On a boy, Bembe, on a Bolen Bembe, on a Rukum Bembe, lawyer, I don't know Dorosi.
So just to interpret what was going on there, I think it was a motorist or passers-by. They're complaining that the men of the Nigerian police were collecting money from motorists. Yes.
Okay, but was there a video evidence to that? Or it is based off what they were saying?
From what we see, it's based off what...
I mean, from that video, if you just to give a context and background to that video, while it's up here on Wake Up Conversation, it's up because the Nigerian police force was equally called out on X and on other social media platforms, especially on Instagram as well, when this police truck, in which they claimed, said that it was supposed to be used to combat crime and insurgency within Kwara. We all know what Kwara State is going through.
Yes.
And this was part of the truck that was given to the police officers to use in combating truck. But however, guess what? It was parked on the roadside, and the police officers were seen stopping cars and asking them for money. And therefore, well-meaning citizens in Kwara State decided to say, no, this is not what should be done.
We need
that
more of this.
You are supposed to help us and stop the issue of insurgency that we're facing in Kwara State. And it's great. Rather than stay here, so what we're going to do is we're going to start videoing you. And that's exactly what they did, recording them. However, while they were recording them, it was also mentioned that the police officers also took to recording them too. And that's why he said, I'm a video, we'll video ourselves. And therefore, I would ensure that we would put ourselves out there. Whether it is something to look into and say, oh, okay, what side of the story? The real question really is, as citizens of the country, should that truck be there on the road? And it's obviously, you saw the policeman stopping the vehicle there and talking to the passengers and so on. Is that the job that should be done with that truck, or what was given?
I mean, the Nigerian police, I'm sorry to say this, but time after time and time again, I'm sure their public complaints unit is tired of taking calls about the behavior of their personnel.
I agree.
This armored personnel career, you don't see it everywhere. It's very expensive. And it was specially deployed because of the surge in violence that we've witnessed in places like Kwara that never used to happen before. So the authorities thought, let's deploy better equipment and better firepower to this place. And this is unfortunate that they abandoned their primary responsibility and started harassing innocent citizens.
I'm hoping that we can have feedback from the Kwara State government, but can I also say that even Nigerian citizens were not very different. As we're criticizing the police, we must also recognize that even those at the lower cadres of society and those who are, and I'm going to give a personal example that happened 2 days ago. I went to have lunch with my friend after church on Sunday at a very big, popular hotel and restaurant on the island. And guess what? I was about to park somewhere, and the man said to me, oh, you can't park there. That place is for the penthouse. But if you show me love, I will let you park. And I said, no, I will do no such thing. I actually filmed him saying, say that again. I don't know why I didn't post it, because I'm like, we need to start calling out these bad behaviors.
Yes,
because it's a moral compass that is broken. How do you tell me that is not, I can't park there because it's for the penthouse, but if I give you something, you will let me park there? So we criticize the police, we criticize politicians, but are we any different from them?
I had a similar incident with what you just did on Friday. It's a space, a wedding I went to, I attended, and of course it was paid, venue and everything. I was just about leaving and the security said, you know, I was watching over everything. Show me. I said, you're watching over what?
Are you not paid to do it?
Inside the venue.
And there's a lot of entitlement that comes with it.
That's the word. So that's the word I use all through the night. Entitlement.
If I want to give you money,
entitled.
Yeah,
I'll give you money because, I know that the country is hard and people are trying to make ends
you don't
meet.
demand for me
But
to
it's not
give
your
you
right.
money.
We're eventually parked. There was a guy that came there to come and greet me. Mama, good afternoon. In fact, anyway, let's move. I don't want to really be upset by that. Let's share with you what Nigerians are saying about this on X.
They are fighting for their pockets. Terrorists are taxing the people. Policemen are on highways extorting the same terrorized people, while Tinubu is taxing them too. Well, this is the thoughts of the ex-user there. That's the work. That's the work of our Nigerian police. They can't fight bandits, only innocent citizens, Ken Obiora says. And another one here also says that's the only job they know. They can't do their job without extorting the people. Prince D says, and Ibrahim Ahmed, the last Sukom, he says, I was there this morning. It's happening in my presence. That's what he said. So that's somebody confirming that as well. But anyway, that's all we're going to take on Welcome Conversations. Let us know your thoughts. Feel free to follow us on all socials. We are on YouTube, X, Instagram, you name it.
And we're particularly taking comments from YouTube.
Yes, we're taking comments from YouTube as well.
Box.
So feel free to do that. Let's bring to you what our top stories are for today here on Breakfast Central. On Breakfast Central this morning, 12 governors may face U.S. sanctions. It's not over until it's over. More coming from the United States. Lagos CP declares Omoyele Sowore wanted after the mild protest at Oworonshoki. They've called him and said you were galvanizing people to cause chaos. PDP crisis deepens, factions, and so on and so forth. And then we'll also look at the PDP factional chairman assuming office. How possible is that? Okay. Newspaper front pages will be up next as well at 9 a.m. Don't forget, you can tune in and call in as well. Stay with us all here on Breakfast Central. And thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. The United States Congress is considering a bill that could impose sweeping sanctions on 12 northern Nigerian governors, top judges and traditional rulers over alleged complicity in what American lawmakers call a Christian genocide and systemic persecution under Nigeria's Sharia and blasphemy laws. The move follows President Donald Trump's designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern, CPC. Trump, in a post on Truth Social, accused Nigerian authorities of allowing the killing of Christians and warned of possible military intervention if the situation persists. The Nigerian Religious Freedom Accountability Act of 2025, sponsored by Senator Ted Cruz, mandates sanctions under the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act. Now, those found culpable would face visa bans, asset freezes, and not forgetting to financial restrictions. But let's tell you some more.
Meanwhile, the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, held an emergency meeting with service chiefs and security heads in the nation's capital, Abuja, yesterday. Security sources say the meeting focused on assessing the security and diplomatic implications of Trump's remarks and preparing a unified national response, according to reports. The NSA urged all agencies to strengthen intelligence coordination and reinforce Nigeria's sovereignty. Join us this morning on Breakfast Central to discuss this is international lawyer and foreign policy lawyer Dignity Eko. We're also joined by Mr. George Ashiru, Chairman, African Democratic Congress in Lagos State. One welcome to you, gentlemen, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central.
Thank you.
I'd like to start with Mr. Eko in the studio with us. There's a United Nations Charter, and we're governed by international law. They call it a rule-based order. Does the United States have a right to interfere in the internal affairs of Nigeria and also threaten invasion? Is that under the ambit of international law? A good place to start with.
Okay, to be clear, under the UN Charter, the United States cannot interfere in Nigeria's domestic issue because of the principle of sovereignty and non-interference. So that would be a violation of the UN Charter. Yeah.
Is there an exception to that? Is there a point where it's allowed for them to come into Nigeria?
The concept of sovereignty under international law is not absolute, but there are conditions that have to be met before you can have a derogation from sovereignty. For instance, to be able to intervene militarily in the domestic affairs of another state, you have to have the authorization of the United Nations Security Council, number one. Number two is that there's also been this notion under international law that where there is mass atrocity crimes, grievous and serious breach of human rights, there can be intervention on humanitarian grounds.
Like what we witnessed in Rwanda in 1994.
Exactly.
Yes.
So again, this is, and that's the grounds on which the U.S. is making whatever demands, I would assume, because they are claiming that what is happening, and that's not a claim, because there have been Christians that have been killed,
exactly,
but that there's been a large number of Christians, but the U.S. is now anchoring in on that to say that they want to come into Nigeria. So from what you're saying, does the numbers, the statistics that we have, or the killings, do they amount or do they qualify for an opportunity or an avenue for the U.S. to come into Nigeria?
So by the assessment, under international law, state parties have a responsibility to protect its citizens against genocide, to protect its citizens. And of course, sovereignty has two concepts. There is the internal sovereignty and external sovereignty. Internal sovereignty is that a state and a country has every right to protect its borders, to exercise control over its population. External sovereignty, a state has every right to conduct foreign policy with another state to be able to protect its interests. However, to the question that you asked, there has been reports and allegation of serious human rights abuse on which President Trump is anchoring his message that he's going to send military action. Without meeting certain conditions under international law, that will not be legal. One of those conditions is that if you look at the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Courts, a state must either be unwilling or has refused to deal with this sort of serious crimes. Where a state fails or is manifestly unwilling, then the international community can act.
You said when the state fails.
Or is unwilling.
So with what we have now, can that be categorized as a success, a failure, or the government being unwilling?
So the challenge that I have is that it doesn't seem to me, I may be wrong, but it doesn't seem to me that the Nigerian state is really serious and is following its own responsibility under international law to protect its citizens. This is not even a debate about who is being killed or the religion of who is getting killed. It's about that the state has that responsibility.
Okay, we've talked about the legal angle. Let's bring in Mr. Ashiru to talk about the political aspect to this conversation. You've heard this. Even yesterday on the show, we had the former DSS chief who said that he believes that the Nigerian state lacks the political will, and this is me paraphrasing, but the political will. And he gave a number of explanations of things that show that the Nigerian state lacks political will. He talked about the negotiation with terrorists, in some parts, the de-radicalization of terrorists, and the fact that if the government really wanted to be able to fight terrorism in Nigeria, that the government will have been able to deal with it by now. So let's get your thoughts. Is that a position you agree with, or do you think that, just like Mr. Temitope Ajayi also said earlier, that the government has been doing its, trying its best?
Thank you very, very much. This is critical topic at this critical juncture. in our national development, 65 years of existence as a combined, unified country, but not yet a nation. And the evidence of it thereof is what the whole world is referring to, right from the days of Bring Back Our Girls Brigade and so on and so forth, and the sense that the Nigerian government has never shown any passion to protect the rights and privileges of the people under the UN Declaration of Human Rights. There seems to be a sense that we have a right to protect we have the power, and therefore we use it to protect the rights of those who support us, who vote for us, who look like us, who speak like us. And that's what the international community is viewing, as we can see. Now, that doesn't mean that if Nigeria was not invaded, in the early days of Boko Haram, Nigeria was not invaded even when the girls were abducted over time, there will be no invasion. But I think what is important is that there's a searchlight. There's a light that is being shone on Nigeria now that is holding the government accountable for the fact that people don't have the freedom to gather, they don't have the freedom to speak, they don't have the freedom to practice their religion, they don't have the freedom to stay where they want to be within the ambits of the law because they are Nigerian passport holders or qualified to be passport holders. All of these are the kinds of things that go up to the United Nations and the ambassadors see, and they take back to their presidents. And when their presidents get to see it, some presidents will look and say, the only way I can make your government take action is to beaming a searchlight on it and making an international noise about it. So that will force you to reflect and say, are we doing enough to ensure we're protecting the rights of people to freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, and so on and so forth? And you see, when the government is picked at, it's because when the people don't have the capacity to fight the government, either through the vote system, through the ability to even freely discuss, their opinions as guaranteed by this same United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, and the international community is going to try and come in. And this is therefore a responsibility of government to say, okay, we are doing our best. We can show you evidence that we're doing our best. But even what we in Party ADC were experiencing in Lagos is an indication. If little things like people attacking a group of negotiators sitting to meet, and the government has nothing to say about it, and the government is not doing anything about it, how much more potential genocide in the north of Nigeria?
Okay. Well, you've talked about that. What's your take? Let me come back to you before we come back to the studio. There were statements made by the SA to the president that the president was going to jet out ASAP to meet with President Trump so they can speak about the issues bedeviling Nigeria in terms of insecurity. Later on, there was also a counter statement also put out by another SA. Coincidentally, he was here with us live yesterday, stating that there's no such thing that the president will be jetting out to meet with President Donald Trump. Rather, they would be meeting somewhere in South Africa, of course, where the G20, where they could look forward to talk about that. What do you make of the communication, the body language that's coming from the presidency since this entire issue came to the fore?
Well, some of us see it as false flag communication, intentionally misleading the public by sitting and making statements that gives the impression that action is being taken. The fact of the matter is, when the president of the United States speaks, and you don't have a full Nigerian ambassador in the most powerful country in the world, that we're already sending a message to America. We're not ready to be diplomatic in approach to the relationship between our countries. Our bilateral relationship has been reduced to the president of Nigeria, the president of America, are not being able to receive an ambassador, a full ambassador from the largest country in Africa. So that already is a misnomer. Then we have the challenge, another important challenge, being that what America is referring to is asking you to take action. They're not asking you to come and negotiate with us, come and discuss with us, come and tell us, all manners of God knows what in explanation. These are evidences based on facts that have been forwarded to them. And these facts have been consistent. It's not new to us in Nigeria. We've been seeing and hearing it for decades. And so what they're simply saying is take action. Take action. That's all I hear Donald Trump say. Take action. And he's going to add a little bit of this threat factor, that if you don't take action, I will take action. Of course, we can look at the law and say the law doesn't permit it. But we have seen violations of the law internationally in other nations. So we don't want to wait until it happens and then we start quoting the law. United Nations, as we are seeing it right now, doesn't have the power to prevent the largest nations in this world from doing whatever they want to do, quite frankly. So we don't need political actions and statements. What we need is boots on the ground in the northeast and northwest, in Kwara, in Kogi, in Ondo, in all those other places that have been attacked, and in Lagos to prevent even road transport workers from attacking the citizens of Nigeria who are sitting in Lagos meeting, you know, and sometimes protected by the same police who should be protecting all of us equally. This is really the message the president needs to act on, not just you know, giving us this posturing that gives the impression everything is all right. Everything is not all right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ashiri. I'd like to come to Mr. Ekot in the studio. From a legal standpoint, Mr. George Ashiri has told us what we need to do politically as a country. And he's also told us the reality of the world we live in. The United Nations is not, you can quote all sorts of international laws and charter, and the big players would always get away with what they will. We've seen how Israel has conducted itself in the last few months, the United States of America, and it seems we live in an era of, you know, might is right. Haven't listened to what Mr. George Ashiri said about, you know, keeping our house in order. How, if you could advise the Nigerian government, what should be their priority now, and what can they do to prevent? Because people say, you know, it's not going to happen. It's very easy to dismiss it, but it's a possibility. He tweeted it, and he was in his full consciousness when he did that. So what can we do to prevent such from happening? Because international law, I don't think, can save us if he does decide to do it.
I think the president would have to be very honest in terms of the actions that the president would have to take. We are not seeing those actions very clearly. And the issue that triggered all of this is allegations of genocide. If you look at the constitutive elements that make genocide, looking at the Convention on the Prevention, yes, what's popularly known as the Genocide Convention, under Article 2, it defines what genocide is. You know, violence against people based on nationality, based on race, based on religion or ethnicity.
And from what we've witnessed in Nigeria, would you categorize it?
Especially in the Middle Belt, it would appear. It would appear because the threshold under the Geneva Convention, you don't have to wipe out an entire people. Once there is intent.
Yes, intent from where? Is it state-sponsored?
Intent from terrorists, because the government uses the word terrorist. So even if we are borrowing their words, I think there has been manifest intent that they seek to destroy either in whole or in part a particular set of people based on either the people's religion or ethnicity, and that qualifies as genocide under the Genocide Convention and even under Article 6 of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. So if the government, the state itself, fails or refuses, like I highlighted before, it leaves room for external influences. It leaves room for the international community to look at options that they can use to be able to ensure that this sort of crimes don't occur. And if you look at the legislation that has been introduced in the US Congress, this is part of targeted diplomatic efforts to use diplomatic leverage to be able to ensure that the government acts. And it's a shame on ourselves that we have to have the US taking certain level of action, introducing legislations before our government would seek or even attempt to take certain actions to prevent the commission of genocide. This ought not to happen because the first responsibility of government has to be the protection of lives and property, not just under international law, but even under domestic law. Our Constitution provides that it is the responsibility, in fact, the first duty of the government, protects lives, protects properties. I think the government so far hasn't done a good job in that regard.
Right. I mean, you've now then explained what the definition is of genocide is legally, the reality of Nigerians, and how that, from your perspective regarding the laws, matches what some would consider genocide. Now that we've gotten to this place where the United States, I think I'll go to Mr. Shiru, where the United States has declared Nigeria a country of particular concern, what would you say the implications are for Nigeria as a country? What would you say the implications are for us economically, politically, and even as we're counting down to the elections? Before now, majority of our conversations were more political. It felt like we're already preparing for 2027. However, how do you think that all of these conversations will play out in the coming months for us as a nation?
Well, when United States of America or any of the larger nations starts to speak in a derogatory manner about your nation and its governance and its laws, what it does is it sends a larger message to other countries. It sends a message to investors. It sends a message to those who are buying stocks and shares, who want to come into the country, who perhaps even belong to a certain religion and they want to settle in the country, and they start hearing this, then it will have an impact on the level of investment in the country, the level of faith in the governance of the country, and the idea that perhaps the country is not hunky-dory as may have been sold by Foreign Affairs Ministry to the various nations. So we really don't ever want to be in a place like that. Economically, that will be regarded as reducing the rating, the economic rating of the country from AAA to AA to 1A to B and down to God knows what. So we don't need that to happen. We don't need the kind of searchlight that comes to our country that forces other nations and other investors and even settlers and those who want to migrate positively to begin to see this country as a country where there is some kind of dichotomy in terms of the way we apply law, and that there are people that can't be allowed to settle in certain areas of the country. So we don't want that. And also it then creates a situation where government is not going to have to move its resources from what were their priority areas now back to security areas, which they should have done in the very beginning. So perhaps, they were thinking, let us just put all the money we have in building the coastal road, whatever it's called there, Lagos Calabar. Let us put all our money in building these big infrastructures that we can then name after the president. Let us then build all of these wonderful legacy projects. But now, there's this noise about security. We then have to move more money and more resources and more people to certain areas of this country, which then changes the balance in which government or governance is being meted out to us, because money is moved from one area to the other. That may mean more taxes, that may mean more borrowing, that may mean that more posturing within, and that could also mean that the National Security Advisor now has new powers, can say, we are trying to prevent terrorism, we are trying to prevent this, and they can just go and start picking people up. All of these have implications. So anyone who thinks they are just statements don't understand international law, international governance, or international politics. So this is important for us to take note of. And Nigerians should look at the body language and the actions of government, hold them to account to do the right thing as well.
Just to follow up to what you said regarding the reactions and implication of what the statements are. The Business Day and a number of other newspapers have reported that Lake Chad has shut border with Nigeria over U.S. military threat invasion, and that, from the details of the report, we can see that the Chadian army has been placed on full alert with heavily armed troops and armored vehicles deployed along key transit corridors connecting the two countries. What does this mean? How do you expect that other countries will react as a result of this?
Just think about it. The fact that Chad, a tiny nation that basically feeds on Nigeria, can even respond to the international diplomatic threat. So what they are responding to is the idea that terrorists are Nigerians and are in Nigeria, and that they will cross the border in order to run away from a potential Trump United States military action. So that's an implication to us. It complicates matters because it's telling us that the idea that government is saying that terrorists operating in Nigeria are from the Sahel region, they are not Nigerians. They come in through the borders and then they do this and then they do that. So this is an indication that Chad is taking more serious, it's taking it more seriously and showing the rest of the world that it doesn't believe that the terrorists are coming through the nations, through Nigeria, through all these other countries, that they are actually Nigerians in Nigeria doing what is happening in Nigeria under the watch of the Nigerian government, of the DSS, and all these other military intelligence, and so on and so forth. And now Chad and probably other nations are indirectly putting the searchlight again on Nigerians, on Nigerian security forces. And what they're going to do over the next few weeks and months is going to tell us whether or not truly they are homegrown terrorists, or they are foreign terrorists, as the Nigerian government always likes to allege.
Okay. I want us to look at one key aspect in this conversation as we're set to wind down. Let me come back to the studio. Let's look at the fact that the laws, a few governors, as mentioned here, 12, it mentions 12, they will be unveiled shortly from the United States. We're expecting assets to be frozen. We expect a lot of actions to be taken up against them. What does the law in this instance say about Nigeria not having ambassadors, envoy to represent us, to stand as a diplomatic front, to speak with the United States in issues like this? And for the fact that we don't have ambassadors.
I mean, 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. And we don't even have ambassadors in America. Do you think it any way has an impact on how America is acting towards Nigeria and how we should also respond? I mean, if you were called right now by the president, sorry, I have to put you on the spot, and you were to use your understanding of the laws and how to handle this situation, especially looking at the fact that we need ambassadors, envoys to represent us, how do you think the president can go about this?
Well, to start with, the very failure of Nigeria not failing to have an ambassador, not even to the US, but to a lot of other countries, is a reflection of our policy making. You know, our foreign policy failures are just a reflection of our domestic policy failures. Take, for instance, when Donald Trump issued that tweet, you would expect that the government will immediately try to engage, try to do serious diplomacy, but the government has been paying more attention to, you know, with respect to propaganda, deflecting the issues, denying the issue. So then, what then is the option for the government? There has to be engagement. We should have an ambassador to the United States. We should be able to do that. It's sad that that has not happened till now. Very sad. Okay,
Mr. Shiru, what do you make of that as well? No ambassadors. We do hear the latest story that the presidency is working hard to ensure that they conclude appointments of ambassadors. This is going to 2 years plus after.
So ambassadors will be appointed. Ambassadors will have to go to the National Assembly just a few months before the political parties are meant to conduct their primaries. So we're very unserious in this country. We're very unserious in this country. We are already entering political season. Elections are going to start from next year in terms of the congresses and the primaries of all of the 19 parties in this country. Any choice you make at that time, any decision you make at that time is extremely and purely political. It is not even going to be for Nigeria's benefit diplomatically or economically. So I think it's already showcases that 2.5 years into this government, they haven't understood the priority of creating positive, powerful relations, especially with countries that invest the most in your own economy. So this is not the way to govern Nigeria, and I think we need to change that.
Now, finally, for my and Mr. Ashiru, just before we wrap up this conversation, I mean, some will say the silver lining in all of this, regardless of how, I mean, shameful it might be that another country has to lecture us on how to go about business, is that, you know, it could spur action and make the military authorities score decisive points against terrorists. But having said that, looking at where this is emanating from, and there's also the political angle of this, that President Trump is facing domestic issues at home, and there's a convenient distraction from him and away from the genocide in Gaza, and also the hypocrisy of the Magnitsky law and the Leahy laws. Because look at Sudan, for example, El Fasher, we saw what happened last week. We watched live stream genocide in the last 2 years happening in Gaza, actively supported diplomatic cover by the same United States of America. And people are wondering, you're doing all of these things, you're bombing. In the last 3 weeks, the United States has extrajudicially killed over 61 people off the coast of Venezuela, saying, you know, they were trafficking drugs. You're doing all of this. You don't have a right to lecture a sovereign nation on how to go about their business, and also threaten violence. There's also the threat to Nigeria's corporate existence, because some of these lobbies that have been used to push for this legislation are now calling for the balkanization of Nigeria openly. As a serious government, how do we damage control and make sure it doesn't go beyond this? Because we know how fragile things can get in this country, and also restore some sort of dignity. I mean, the language of the President of the United States was not diplomatic at all. They now disgraced Nigeria and things like that. How do we restore our dignity as a nation and prevent things from further breaking down?
Thank you very much. We've always known the way and manner in which the President of the United States speaks and acts, nationally and internationally. That in itself does not bother me. That's who he is, that's what Americans voted for, and we believe with it. His posture and his behaviors around the world, America has been known to be a country that only fights for its own interests. There's never been a time that America has been known as a country that fights for interests of other people without taking into consideration how it impacts their own national lives. That has always been America. We've always known this. The question really is, if we had had a relationship with the American government, they would have been speaking to us about their concerns, and it would never have come out to the open. That's what we need to think about. If we had had a good relationship with the American government, then whatever issues they have with the way we're running this country, there would have been a diplomatic relationship that would not have created an opportunity for this to happen. I can tell you that about 12 years ago, 13 years ago, that the foreign affairs minister of this country was my own late uncle, Ambassador Gbenga Aborowa, and that I have videos and pictures of him talking to the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, and then the gentleman that followed after. So what it means is that there was somebody speaking directly to the U.S. government. So these kind of things don't come out. So us bothering to say, oh, U.S. government is doing this in Darfur, it's nothing to do with, we are talking about Nigeria and what is happening in Nigeria. So we are clearly forgetting what I said earlier. A lot of these larger nations don't follow international law. So everything you've said to me now is confirmation that United States of American government will do what they feel they need to do to protect their own citizens, even if they violate international laws. The question for our own Nigerian government is, do you do what you need to do to protect Nigerian citizens? When Nigerian citizens were being murdered in Southern Africa during the period of xenophobia, how much did the Nigerian government do about it? When Nigerian citizens, even in Libya right now, and in other nations, they have been maltreated, what has the Nigerian government ever done about it? How much more how Nigerians are treated within Nigeria? So I think, generally speaking, I would rather focus on whether our government is serious and what our government needs to do to change it, rather than to focus on what other governments are doing or what they're not doing in the international stage. We need to step up, fix our country, so that we do not have this embarrassment of other people putting eyes on our behavior within our own nation.
All right, my next question is also to you, Mr. Ashiru, and then I'll come back to the studio to our guest in-house. The Presidency Nigeria's page on X has started to release, important information to show how we're a very religious, tolerant country. And in these tweets they had put out, they said, over 99% of Nigerians identify with a religion, one of the most faithful nations on earth. Then they go ahead to give stats. They say for 2024, religious composition of Nigeria, 227 million citizens. Then they break it down by faith groups, share population, and approximate population. So they say Muslims comprise 50 to 51%, Christians comprise 47 to 48%, traditional and other faiths comprise 2 to 3%, and unaffiliated and non 1%. That was for 2024. And then they go ahead to make projections for 2050, where they say will be 300 million citizens. They say Muslims will be 51%, Christians will be 47%, and others will be 2%. What is the relevance right now of this information that they're sharing online? And how important is it that they're doing what they're doing?
The government of Nigeria is on serious. The government of Nigeria needs to understand that terrorists want to make 47%, 20%. That is their own agenda. So it's not even talking about the fact that people are having children in Christian families, people are having children in Muslim families. Look at my name. My name is George Ashiru. Ashiru is a Muslim name. George is a Christian name. So therefore, that tells you the kind of family I come from. So that is not even the kind of thing that I want to hear right now. There is tolerance in my family. There is tolerance in a lot of families in the Southwest. But there are people living in Plateau, in Benue, in the North Central areas, that are facing existential threats as we speak. So those statistics don't help them. It doesn't help the fact that every day they get attacked. People call them headsmen. They call them this, they call them that. That is what we're saying, put attention on. Don't look for excuses. Don't gerrymander and start going around and doing all of this statistic. It's not what we're talking about. What we want to hear is that the Nigerian government has released a company of soldiers. It has released, a battalion from this barracks and that barracks to go and protect this community and protect that community. That's the action we are looking for, not X. The people in Plateau who are living inside the jungle, who are running away from terrorists, they don't have access to X. They don't have access to all of these various things that the government is using to do international propaganda. Take the life of your people seriously, your own people, people that voted for you. Take the life seriously. That's what we're saying. This is not politics. This is serious. This is human nature. This is human beings we're talking about. Every single Nigerian that dies because the terrorists kill them, whether the terrorist is homegrown or international terrorist, they are a reflection of the lack of protection of the government that they voted into power. That is what I'm going to say to the government of Nigeria. We don't need statistics. The only statistics we want to hear is that there's movement of troops away from political enemies, away from your rivals, direct to the enemies of this country. That is the only action that you can take that make Nigerians feel this government is serious about protecting our lives and our properties.
I completely agree with you in the sense that what we want to see is an end to insecurity. Let's come back to Mr. Ekop here in the studio. Just flowing from the question that we've just asked him, it feels that many would say that since this whole new information came to light about President Trump threatening to invade Nigeria, that the government has spent a lot more time convincing the U.S. that there isn't any form of Christian genocide in Nigeria than it has in fighting insecurity. That's what it looks like, and it feels like there's been more conversation, which is what has maybe led to the Army's pressure. The pressure has been, the pressure to show working that has now, many have said, is recycled video that the Army is putting up. But in terms of international negotiations or international conversations, what would be the likely next steps? He's talked about how the government needs to release armed forces, military men to go and secure Nigeria. But what would be, in terms of international diplomacy, what are the next steps that you think that should ensue?
I think generally that this is also a failure of Nigeria not having what we call a grand strategy in its foreign policy operation. Earlier in the year, I read a news article that Nigeria has been admitted to the BRICS economic bloc as a partner state. And within that same period, I noticed that President Trump had been tweeting, or rather writing on his own Truth Social, attacking the BRICS economic bloc. It seems to baffle me that people that think of our own foreign policy, people that I read statements put out by our Minister of Foreign Affairs or by the Minister of Foreign Affairs himself, he appears to be overwhelmed. Sometimes they appear not to really have enough facts, enough research to be able to know how Nigeria should posture on some of these issues. I was taught that Africa will remain the centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy. I don't know when that changed. That I'm not against Nigeria, swaying to the BRICS that is being controlled by Russia and China. I'm not proposing that Nigeria has to swing to the other way and be pro-West. But what I'm saying is that we must have our grand strategy for our own enlightened self-interest. For instance, now we don't have ambassador to the US. So who is negotiating for us? Who is speaking to the Secretary of State?
Perhaps they charge their fares.
Maybe
there's
the envoys too.
Well, we have hierarchy in international diplomacy, and this reflects how serious countries are going to take you based on what they see you do.
But the Foreign Affairs Minister, was planning, and an entourage were planning to go to America when this whole issue started. But permit me to just ask my final question, because like I say, we're out of time. Mr. Ashiru, my question is, you as an opposition, what is the role of the opposition now that you do have this U.S. invasion threat coming to Nigeria? Is the opposition going to stand neglecting or forgetting any political ideology, whether it's APC, whether it's PDP, whether it's DBD, whatever it is? Are we going to see the political party, your party, and every other party stand as one to speak in one voice, regardless of whoever sucks is God or walks is God, and talk about how deep you want to protect our own territory and integrity as a country? Or will the opposition speak against the current APC? What's your stand?
Our party has released a statement via the National Publicity Secretary, Malam Bolaji Abdullahi, clearly stated that we do not support any form of invasion or any interrogation into the sovereignty of Nigeria. We do not. We cannot support it from anybody, from any nation. So we are not happy with the threat that our country will be invaded or bombed for any reason. Yes, support the country to be able to protect and defend itself is very useful. We have seen the American government provide the same support to other nations of interest to them. So because we obviously do not have a kind of relationship that will make them have confidence in giving us weapons and technology and support and intelligence that will help us to defend ourselves from both internal and external threats, then that itself is where the government is weak. And we keep saying it, and we have been saying it long before this particular government took power, that that's a weakness of the way that we play politics in Nigeria, of not taking the interests of people first. So we are all Nigerians, and we would never say because, oh, it is so-and-so person in government, it's so-and-so power in government, all of a sudden we are going to invite a foreign entity to interfere in our internal affairs. No, but we do appreciate the fact that a searchlight is beamed on our issues that have international implications. Within this country, we have the International Organization for Migration, a UN agency, of which I am an ambassador of that agency. And the statistics they give us about the Nigerians and how Nigerians are maltreated and mistreated abroad, and the level of migration that Nigerians are experiencing. And when they migrate, what do you think they tell people in other countries when they look for asylum? They will tell you first that they are subject, or they were maltreated, or that there was an attempt to wipe them out through genocidal claims. This is the information that is passed to the United Nations through these migrants, illegal migrants and legal migrants, in order to be able to get asylum abroad. So this is where the attention then comes from. That's where the international statistics come from. And some of them will tell you that so-and-so was killed in their family, and they were killed even by Nigerian forces. So we need to get our acts together. So the fact that we are saying that we're not blaming just a particular party. We are blaming anybody who is in government, who has been in government, in particular over the past 20, 30 years. A lot needs to be done to secure this country so that we don't have any form of threats from international agencies or nations or presidents or rulers or dictators or whoever they may be from different nations regarding the territorial integrity of our country. So ADC stands for Nigeria and with Nigerians.
Okay.
And we will stand, if the government does what is right in this matter, we will stand with them. But anywhere that they fail to do what is necessary, we will also point it out.
All right. Thank you so much for your time with us, Mr. George Ashiru, African Democratic Congress, Lagos State Chairman. And also thank you so much for being here, international law and foreign policy lawyer, Mr. Dignity Ekop, for speaking with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll go on a quick break, and let's let you in on what's coming up next here on Breakfast Central.
The battle for control of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, reached a breaking point yesterday when loyalists of the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, forcefully took over the party's national secretariat, Wadata Plaza, in Abuja. The dramatic move occurred in the presence, or in the absence rather, of PDP governors and members of the National Working Committee loyal to the party's embattled National Chairman Umar Damagum, led by Abdulrahman Mohammed, who declared himself acting national chairman. The Wike-backed faction occupied the secretariat, citing the need to heal the party of its wounds and end factionalization. The incident comes amid intensifying disputes over party control, unresolved South-South leadership crisis, and microzoning controversies ahead of the now-suspended National Convention, originally slated for November 15th to 16th in Ibadan.
Recall that over the weekend, the Damagum-led working committee, through the National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologunagba, announced the suspension of National Secretary Senator Samuel Anyanwu and other key officials over alleged anti-party activities. And this was followed by a counter-move by Anyanwu speaking for the Mohammed-led faction, announcing the suspension of Damagum and others, citing alleged financial mismanagement and incompetence. As tension mounts, PDP governors led by Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State and Seyi Makinde of Oyo State are reportedly strategizing to reclaim control of the party from Wike's camp. With all of this drama, joining us to discuss this is PDP chieftain here in Lagos State. We do have Mr. Detukumbo Pierce live with us here in the studio. Well, welcome. And thank you so much for coming here, possibly to build the cat, we hope, on the issues that are indeed bedeviling the PDP, a party you hold so dear to your heart. I'm sure Gbenga is edging to drop the first bomb.
Yes, Dr. Pierce, thank you so much for honoring our invitation and coming here this morning to discuss what many have described as a crisis in the People's Democratic Party. The outgoing, the latest Dekampi Governor Duru described the PDP as a sinking ship. I wonder if you agree with him or not. Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court, in his ruling, has halted at the PDP's National Convention in Ibadan. The PDP's secretariat was sealed off by police yesterday following an attempted violent takeover. What's really going on within the party? And what do you make of comments by Governor Duru saying that the PDP is a sinking ship?
I'm glad that we have an opportunity such as this to talk to the Nigerian people so they understand what is going on. Governor Duru says PDP is a sinking ship. Governor Duru is the captain of the ship. And when the ship was sinking, he jumped out. What does that tell you? That is what is going on with these our governors. Irresponsible, disgraceful, shameful. Let him understand that it is a sinking ship, as far as he is concerned. Your ship is sinking, you are the captain of the ship, you jumped out. That's his irresponsibility. You should be court-martialed for that. Now, as to the issue of the PDP convention, our convention is going to hold on the 15th and the 16th of November in Ibadan, Oyo State. Because Omotosho's judgment did not banish the convention, he put a pause to it. He said, fulfill all righteousness and go on with the convention. He cannot ban the convention because the convention has already been sanctioned by the proper authority. The INEC came and supervised all our meetings, which led to the convention. Now, we also have appealed his judgment. So while the appeal is on, we continue with our convention. Look, this convention is not about the PDP. It's about democracy and the access of Nigerians to voting, having access to deciding their destiny. If you ban a PDP from having its convention so that it will not survive to have an elected convention, presidential primaries next year, what have you done to Nigeria? You have deprived Nigerians of an alternative to decide who they want to govern them. It will not happen. It will not happen. We are going to have a convention. We are not going to...
So your confidence is in the appeal and the courts, or in your party members sheathing swords coming together?
No. I will talk about the sheathing sword eventually. There is no convention where you don't have controversy. What you have in our party now is a group of dissidents who have rebelled against the party. These four people who have said now they've made their own faction and they've appointed their own chairman.
Abdulrahman Mohammed.
Yes. By the way, four of them, the National Working Committee of the party, which controls the activities of the party, has decided there are 18 members, 14 of them have decided that Anyanwu will be under suspension, Bature, the National Organizing Secretary, will be under suspension, 30 days. The legal secretary will be under suspension, and his deputy under suspension. Now, these four people who have been suspended by their own committee of 18 members, 14 of them said now they're suspending the 14. It's a joke, it's a travesty, it's just media hype, it doesn't mean anything. They said they took over the party. Look, Look, some of them are committing criminal activity. They don't realize it. Anyamu went, I understand, that he burst into the chairman's office. How can you break into it? I mean, are you thugs or politicians or leaders of the... Can you imagine these people calling themselves leaders in this country, behaving like animals in the zoo? So this is where we are. So it is not a question of reconciliation with people who have decided to rebel, elected a convention, a presidential primaries next year. What have you done to Nigeria? You have deprived Nigerians of an alternative to decide who they want to govern them. It will not happen. It will not happen. We are going to have a convention. We are not going to...
So your confidence is in the appeal and the courts? Or in your party members sheathing swords coming together?
No. I will talk about the sheathing sword eventually. There is no convention where you don't have controversy. What you have in our party now is a group of dissidents who have rebelled against the party. These 4 people who have said now they've made their own faction and they've appointed their own chairman.
Abdulrahman Mohammed.
Yes. By the way, 4 of them, the National Working Committee of the party, which controls the activities of the party, has decided, the 18 members, 14 of them have decided that Anyanwu will be under suspension, Bature, the National Organizing Secretary, will be under suspension, 30 days. The legal secretary will be under suspension, and his deputy under suspension. Now, these 4 people who have been suspended by their own committee of 18 members, 14 of them said now they're suspending the 14. It's a joke, it's a travesty, it's just media hype, it doesn't mean anything. They said they took over the party. Look, some of them are committing criminal activity, they don't realize it. Anyamu went, I understand, that he burst into the chairman's office. How can you break into it? I mean, are you thugs or politicians or leaders of the... Can you imagine these people calling themselves leaders in this country, behaving like animals in the zoo? So this is where we are. So it is not a question of reconciliation with people who have decided to rebel, and congresses were duly held in most of the 14. The only areas where you have a problem, in Kebbi, in Plateau, and Cross River, they did not have, listen to this, state congresses, but they had ward congresses, they had local government area congresses. In those 2 congresses, you have produced more than enough delegates to the convention. The law says if you are able to get 2/3 of your delegates to your convention, you can hold a convention.
All right, let's hold that.
We have more than 2/3 of our delegates from those 3 states. You understand me? Because from the ward, from the LGA, you have national delegates who will go to the convention. You have all the LGA chairmen going to the convention. You have statutory delegates going to the convention. All of them are in place, even in those areas where we had some issues.
All right, let's
even
pause for a bit. We have to go on a break. There are still other areas that we need to expand, especially regarding the 21-day notice that the court highlighted, and we'll be touching on that when we return from the break. To Breakfast Central, we're still looking at the latest drama and crisis that seem to have unfolded at the PDP yesterday. We're joined by PDP Chieftain Adetokunbo PS. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. Before we went on the break, we're talking about some of the issues that Justice Omotosho had listed, and you were bringing clarity to them. Let's talk about the 21-day notice issue.
You know, I hate to say it, but Omotosho has a very bad reputation as an APC judge. All of these things are
That's
so...
a very grave allegation.
He has
to
an
level
he has a
Justice of the
reputation.
Federation.
He has a bad reputation.
What's your evidence? What evidence?
I'm saying reputation. That's what people say about him, rightly or wrongly. But his performance here shows that he's a very questionable character. What is the meaning of 21 days? If we did not have 21 days notice, all this time we've been talking about our convention, it's not been 21 days notice. We have given the INEC more than 21 days notice. That is why they approved the Congress. That is why they approved the convention. So that issue doesn't, it is totally irrelevant. It is erroneous. I don't know where all of this is coming from. But you know, the genesis of all of this is this. The National Working Committee of the PDP is empowered to organize the party's activities at all levels in every chapter. When Minister Wike decided that he was going to have his own Congress in the South-South, after the term of that Congress had expired, by the way, that Congress in the South-South that expired earlier this year, I was the president, I was the chairman of that South-South Congress, which brought in Dan Obi as chairman and George Turner as secretary. I was the chairman of that Congress. All the South-South governors were there. We were hosted by this same Wike. That's when everything was fine with us. So that is the way you do it. For me to be a member of that Congress Committee for South-South, I was appointed by the National Working Committee, so were all the members who conducted the Congress. After their term expired, Wike decided on his own to conduct the Congress without authorization from the National Working Committee. When he did that, the National Committee said, we have rejected the Congress because you don't have authority. By the way, how did you get the papers you used for the Congress? Now, you know how he got the papers? The secretary of the party, Anyanwu, who is his man, without authorization from the National Working Committee, on his own now sent him the paper to go and do the Congress. That is the genesis of where we are now. So where we are now, all these people saying we don't agree with this, we don't agree with that, the places where Anyanwu and Co are saying and Wike are saying we didn't have Congresses, what happened? We have set up caretaker committees there. We have nullified their own Congress, and they have refused to accept the ruling of the National Working Committee. That's what's going on now. Just as Wike is attacking us with his lack of respect for the law from outside, taking the law into his own hands from the outside, Anyanwu is leading the charge from within, or those four are leading the charge from within. So those four now have been suspended, so that Wike's activities now have been curtailed. But that is the genesis of the problem.
Also now involved.
Yeah, but I want to ask you, I mean, we've gone back and forth on this. What's the way forward, especially now that everything is looking unclear? Because the cloud, it's cloudy now for the PDP, and it's cloudy because you have factions now, and they're going at each other head to head.
The factions, this is the faction. Let me tell you, if it wasn't for the deep respect for democracy and law and order, those four factions, they should be in detention somewhere. I mean, look, you have 14 people, you have a committee, okay, of 18. 14 have gone one way, 4 are going the other way. That rebellion is negligible. It doesn't mean anything. By the way, the North Central Vice Chairman, Abdullahi, who is now assuming the position of National Chairman, was one of the signatories, one of the 14 who signed the suspension of those 4. You know, now he too will be under suspension. But this is what is going on in PDP.
Just before we...
Way forward.
Okay.
The way forward is this. We are going to have a convention. If perchance, at the end of it all, you know, we're ready. We have a convention. We have all our offices in place. Now, if we have to go to court to defend that, we will. But nothing is, look, if you see me and I tell you that there is nothing really wrong in the party, that we don't have the kind of problem, they try, the APC government, Wike working for the APC government, Tinubu's government, they're doing everything to derail every single party. We are the only ones standing, and we are the strongest party. And they know that
you put your house in order?
Our house is in order.
Why did you let them
Our
derail
house is in order. There are people trying to derail us. We are not going to be derailed. I have told you, Diri's expression is a good example. The ship is sinking. You jump out of the ship. By the way, when you jump out of that ship, you jump into the water, you commit suicide, you kill yourself. Why don't you try to even save the ship? Anyway, we are going ahead. The people, Nigerians, are looking forward to an opportunity to vote for a party of their choice. If PDP is not on the ticket, that will be the end of democracy in Nigeria. It will not happen. I want you to be optimistic, to believe me when I tell you that nothing is going to. Do you realize what the PDP is? 80% of all the people who have been presidents, vice presidents, governors, ambassadors, ministers, they are all members of the PDP. Even the people who are in, let me tell you, PDP, the word is just a vehicle. What is going to happen? What do you think will happen if we don't have a presidential candidate? It doesn't matter. Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not return as president of this country in 2027, whether it's PDP or no PDP. And the PDP is there to stay because that is the voice of the people. We are the party of restructuring Nigeria. We started it with Jonathan and the 2014 confab. And it was derailed because Buhari came in and said he wants to sit. We are going to present another president who will carry out the recommendations of that confab and restructure Nigeria for economic progress and better security in 2027.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ade Tokunbo-Pierce. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Yes. And we'll continue to monitor the news cycle, follow events, and hopefully...
And after the convention, or during the convention, we'd like to have you again. It's 11 days to go, and then we can get feedback after that. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll come back shortly. We will be speaking with Omoyele Sowore and asking what is the latest and why is the police after him. We'll be right back to talk about that in a moment.
The Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Moshood Jimoh, has declared human rights activist and convener of Revolution Now, Omoyele Sowore, wanted for allegedly instigating public disturbance in the Oworonshoki area of Lagos. Let's listen to the Lagos State Commissioner of Police. Now, speaking to journalists on Monday, the commissioner accused Sowore of coming to Lagos to cause public disorder following the demolition of buildings by the Lagos State government as part of its urban regeneration project. He claimed Sowore had planned to mobilize protesters to block the Third Mainland Bridge, an act the police described as an attempt to obstruct traffic and cause hardship for Lagosians. Let's take a listen to the Lagos State Commissioner of Police.
I hereby, as the Commissioner of Police, Lagos State Police Command, declare Sowore wanted. I declare him wanted for the act of causing disturbance of public peace and an act to commit serious felony by planning and putting all the plan in motion to obstruct traffic on the Third Mainland Bridge, to cause hardship for Lagosians and other Nigerians, and especially visitors who are transiting through this end. We will not allow this to happen. These are the equipment, and we ensure that we are closing on him. Anywhere he is, he should be aware that we are closing on him. Willant is doing video and he couldn't calm down. Let him calm down. He came down in Abuja. Why is he afraid to come down in Lagos? He should come down. He should come down. Well, wherever he is, he should report himself to the nearest police station. Because I'm going to arrest him and investigate him and prosecute him. Thank you.
Once again, sir, how many arrests so far?
Like I said earlier, we have made 13 arrests of this miscreant and hoodlum. Because there's no any reason why this protest must take place. The people who are concerned, who are residents of Oworonshoki, have been paid compensation by government for those who deserve, who entitled rather to the compensation in the law. And the people have really peace and they've been living in the peace in the community. But it's coming to Lagos to instigate crisis, to instigate violence will not be tolerated. And I want all Lagosians to still go about their lawful businesses without any fear and pressure. Let him come down, let him put his leg on ground. He's standing in a vehicle and he's making video that police has covered everywhere and he can't come down. It's the same way police come everywhere that I came down in Abuja. Let him come down, here and you will see the wrath of the law. That will equally
have it, the Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Moshood Jimoh. And right here in our studio, the man in the eye of the storm, convener of the Revolution Now movement, Omoyele Sowore, is right here. Good morning, and thank you so much for honoring our invitation. There's an Area G police post in Ogba here. Do you plan to declare yourself after this interview as a person of interest? And can you also tell us what transpired yesterday and why you have been declared wanted by the Lagos State Commissioner of Police?
I don't understand what the man was saying. I'm still trying to figure out what he drank yesterday. So, and this is my problem with incompetent people in office. And this is why I've waged this struggle my entire life. You're talking about areas in Lagos. I've been arrested since 1992 in almost all the areas up to F, which is First Arc. I mean, F is Ikeja. They used to call it area finish. But on a serious note, what we are discussing here is not what he's saying. You know, we have a duty.
He said he was there to instigate violence.
Yes, that's what he said. And that's not the argument, that's not the conversation. My conversation is about substance. I'm here to help fix problems afflicting poor people. You are not building houses for poor people. You don't have mass housing like even Jakonde used to have. I lived in Jakonde Estate before in Mile 2, there's First Arc, and then suddenly none of these things are provided. People then go and find their own places, build it, and you are demolishing it with relish. And you're not demolishing and compensating or providing alternative. You are demolishing on behalf of real estate developers. So the Nigerian police, instead of protecting the public, is protecting the interests of a few. That is why the guy was so incoherent in declaring me wanted. In the first place, you have no right to declare anybody wanted without a court order. That is what our lawyers said. I'm not a lawyer. You know, I was also arrested last week in Abuja for causing public disturbance. I spent 4 days in Kuje prison because when the judge saw us on a Friday, he granted bail to us immediately. But they went into the judge's chambers and drove him away so that he would not sign.
Are you serious?
Yes, so that he would not sign our release warrant until Monday. And I settled into Kuje prison. It was while I was in Kuje prison that I heard this same loquacious Lagos State Commissioner of Police mentioning my name not to come to Lagos. How can a police commissioner tell a citizen where to go in his own country? He mentioned my name, and I immediately responded that I will come to Lagos. He thought, see, the problem with him is that he thought, having threatened me while I was in Abuja, I would not come to Lagos. So he was shocked to find me in Lagos yesterday. Despite all the forces he mobilized, I entered the community and met with the people and also addressed them. He said, I didn't come down on Lagos. What do you mean by you didn't come down? I came down to Lagos. I attended to the events. You went there and attacked the people. They even tried to attack me. And I left after having made the statement. The statement I came to make in Lagos is that no Nigerian official can prevent another Nigerian from going wherever they they ought to be, either to go there and live there. So he has no right to say that you have banned protesting. You can't ban protesting, impossible. Even in Abuja, they went to a federal high court judge when we were planning free Nnamdi Kanu and said they want them to ban me from protest. The judge told them, I can't ban Sowore. They went to a federal high court judge that I cannot call the president a criminal. We couldn't start the trial. We're going back again on, I think, tomorrow. So what they're trying to do is to muzzle everybody, and they've discovered that I'm the last person they can do that to. They're just engaging in all kinds of tactics to discourage me, to silence me. I heard that his boss in Abuja, who was illegally appointed by the president, sent a squad that wherever they find me, they must shoot me aside.
Who did you hear this from?
You have my own intelligence sources. So, and that's what they did in Abuja last week when we were doing free Nnamdi Kanu. They sent a squad after me. We relocated and successfully had a protest and shut down Abuja. So when they heard that happened, they arrested the lawyers of Nnamdi Kanu. I went to the police station to bail them out. They saw me, they couldn't arrest me. After they discovered that we continued to try to get them bailed out, they now arrested me on the street in front of the Federal High Court last week. After I met Nnamdi Kanu, I posted that I met him. Took me to a magistrate in Kuje outside of Abuja. They had arranged it. And then got me to stay 4 days in prison, Kuje prison. So I think that's the script this guy wants to come and reenact in Lagos. They want to arrest me, take me before another kangaroo court and jail me. But I'm ready for them. This country either works for us or it's not going to work for us. That is a position I took a long time ago. I'm talking about 35 years ago. And that's what I tell young people. There's nobody is going to fix your country for you. Forget about, the people who say they want to help. Nobody can help you if you are not willing to help yourself. China helped itself out of poverty. India helped itself out of poverty. America helped itself out of poverty. Japan helped itself out of poverty. Nigerians are always looking for help where there is no help, That's why they are always looking in the sky. They're always praying to something. They worship anything. If prayers rose in the air, airlines will be crashing into Nigerian prayers because they pray so much because they don't want to do anything. And anybody who doesn't stand for anything will fall for everything.
Yeah. Okay. You've given us the background to all of this,
yes,
and given us some extra information as to the heart of what you're doing. But I want us to clarify a few facts. Mr. Jimoh Moshood has said that you were a part of this. In his words, that you came to Lagos to cause public disorder. Were you a part of the protest? Did you spearhead the protest in Oworonshoki?
I have been fighting for Oworonshoki people for years. We fought them over Otodogbame. We are against the demolition of homes of poor people for rich people.
Okay.
So there's no question. I'm not coming here to deny that I'm not the leader of the movement who wants to fix this country. I did revolution now against Buhari. I came down from the US. We were the ones who organized End Bad Governance. I was in the US. After that, in October last year, we came and did Fearless in October. I have been around in this country. My passport seized in January, and I have fought for policemen in the course of this. I got 29,000 policemen promoted who had not been promoted for years because I did a police protest. So I have fought all kinds of battles in my life. I'm not going to sit down here and denying that, oh, I didn't come. But what I'm telling you is that is not the issue. The issue is the incompetence of these guys. They are the ones causing the problem. Let me tell you. So the insecurity we have today with Boko Haram was caused by the police. Can you believe that?
How?
Why would you say that?
When they killed Yusuf, extrajudicially, we were warning them in 2009. That guy was still mine. He would go and preach. That's all he did. They arrested him, detained him. They shot him at close range, killed him. That's how Boko Haram started. This same Nigeria police force. They started Boko Haram. But people have forgotten that this is the history of how police will mess things up. They are the ones who brought about NSAS upon themselves. And you still keep putting these guys in sensitive position, and you are going to get what you don't deserve. Nigeria is running helter-skelter now because Donald Trump says he wants to attack Nigeria.
And that's something that I'm hoping that we can touch on very quickly before.
It is because, do you know why Nigerians, even though it's unthinking, to accept it? Because they are helpless and they are happy that anybody can come and help them, even though they don't understand how America operates, which is what I wrote on Twitter. Like, you see, be careful what you ask for, but we can have that conversation, like you said, later.
The second part I wanted to ask is for them to go through the route of issuing a warrant, declaring you wanted. Was there a warrant of arrest issued? Did they reach out to you before that?
He declared me wanted yesterday. I kept calling him. He did not answer me.
Okay, you have his number?
I have his number. I have most of their numbers. I have all this commissioner of police.
They had not tried to reach out to you before then?
No, of course. He confessed on TV that he saw me. Why didn't he arrest me? I was live.
Oh, you're live here too now?
I'm live here. You know, maybe this will be my last interview for the day. I'm ready for it. But you see, what he wanted to do was to use scare tactics to see if after declaring wanted, I'll go underground and he can dismantle his forces because he said he's been there since last Monday, which yesterday on their own, they used their incompetence to destabilize the state. Protest is a right. There's nobody who can outlaw protest. It's impossible. It's an international, it's fundamental human right for people to protest. And peaceful protest is even more powerful, more potent. You can't stop people from complaining after you beat them up, you demolish their houses, you destroy their means of livelihood. You say, oh, you can't protest, and you start tear gassing them. Even some of the policemen who were tear gassing yesterday, their families are living in the slums.
So the Commissioner of Police said those who were entitled to compensation have been compensated, so there's no need to protest.
Compensation is not what we are talking about. What is the meaning of compensation when you go and steal somebody's land that don't belong to you? If the law is that you compensate, the person you want to compensate must be willing to accept compensation. The moment he tells you that he cannot surrender what belongs to him, your compensation is useless. You can only compensate somebody who accepts that he wants to forgo what belongs to him. Then you say, okay, let's do trade by barter. For foregoing this, we pay you this certain amount. But you cannot dislocate people who are historically the owner of a land and say you are compensated. What's the meaning of compensation?
So you said they're clearing these properties for real estate.
They are doing it for real estate developers.
Who are these developers?
I heard there are some of these Lagos kings, including even the Oni of Ife was mentioned. Yes.
Sorry, come again?
Even I heard the Oni of Ife is part of people who are involved in this real estate development. What they do is that they take people's land and they give it to real estate developers who then build houses and make millions out or billions out of it.
It's called urban regeneration.
Yeah. Look, I did urban planning. 1 kilometer from that place. So nobody can tell me about urban regeneration. But I know what it means to have urban regeneration. You can't do urban regeneration without building new places where people will relocate to. Otherwise, you are just going to build, and the slums to keep following you wherever you go. And the competent people cannot regenerate the urban areas. They can't. People who cannot govern themselves. So what they're doing is, is a rentier system. You take land, give it to people. They do it even in GRA here. They'll take land, they'll build it. The real estate people, they'll collect part of it and it belongs to them. It's these are self-serving politicians. It's not urban regeneration.
But Lagos is known to have major issues of gentrification. You have houses, you also have. Could it be that because of the fact that there was a gentrification thing going on there, so they had to ensure that they clear those properties? And I mean, I'm just trying to see reasons why they carried out that.
You see, when you want to develop new urban areas, you go to places where there's adequate land, and Lagos has quite a number of them. And then you move people to new housing. That's where you call, that's urban housing. When people have new available houses, even better than the one they are staying before, you can go back and clear the old place. You can then go and
you make provisions.
Oh, you make provisions for them. But you can't go and dislocate people who have lived for years in a place, who are making ends meet. They have nowhere to go. That is not urban, that's urban wickedness.
So how do we then analyze that vis-a-vis Section 1 of the Land Use Act that bestows the land on the governor? Because that may be an argument that will be put forward that all lands belong to the governor who holds it in trust for the Nigerians.
We have stated that the Land Use Act itself is a violation of fundamental rights. It was introduced by the military. What is it still doing in our constitution? It was introduced by Obasanjo. What is it? Even the people in Lagos that you're talking about are violating the Land Use Act. They are collecting federal government land and properties that has been abandoned or they claim are abandoned and converting it to their own use. What if the federal government comes around and says, oh, it's our land, we have right over the Land Use Act? They themselves don't accept the Land Use Act whenever they want land for themselves. They violate it. These Lagos landlords and politicians, everybody understand what the game they are playing. What we're saying is very clear. If you want to do urban regeneration, do mass housing or mixed income housing, rich and poor living together, then you can ask people to, but you cannot dislocate people. They have nowhere to go. And everybody understands in Lagos that housing is priced beyond and above an average person. Even somebody who has a fairly good job can't afford housing in Lagos. Then throw more people on the streets in Lagos from lands that they have lived in, you know, what we call ancestral lands. People who are fisher people. You can't just go and dislocate them with tear gas. You know,
I mean, the Lagos state residents have right, even if the governor owns or holds the land, it doesn't have
you can't have federal power to, you know, your power cannot have anything to do with dislocating people.
Now, just before we begin to wrap up this conversation, let's move to the biggest conversation in the country right now. And your reaction has also sparked a lot of interest on social media. These are unprecedented times. We've never had a country threaten our territorial integrity and existence in that manner. President Donald Trump's tweet to Nigeria saying, you know, the now disgraced Nigeria, that we should fix up. He threatened military intervention. And you released a post on X. I'm not sure if our producers have that post. It would be nice to have it up. But the essence of your tweet was you stood as a Nigerian, first and foremost, and you said, look, American intervention in other places has never resulted in anything good. And it led to a lot of backlash. There were people that said, well, are you not supposed to be against the government? Or you must have been compromised. Could you tell us the spirit of that tweet and if you're going to also retract your position?
You know, it was Winston Churchill that said those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. I want to make it clear. I wasn't speaking as a patriot. I'm not the kind of patriotic Nigerian that you would, I don't belong in that category. I wasn't defending the government. What I'm defending is the integrity of the Nigerian person. And you will notice that most of the people who are opposed to this Donald Trump position are people who lived in the US, because we understand the game better than people who are at home. People are just here jubilating over an instantaneous intervention by an outsider, Donald Trump for that matter, who doesn't even know where Nigeria is located. If you show Nigeria to Donald Trump on the world map, I don't think he knows it. He has never been here before. He was supposed to come to a wedding of his daughter in Nigeria. He said he cannot go to a shithole because, you know. So when people don't understand that, and that this Donald Trump we are talking about doesn't even care about your own black people in his own country. So to think that Donald Trump is going to come here and save you is, I cannot even imagine that you have that many people in Nigeria who cannot think for themselves, that the salvation of this country is going to come from within when we are serious. Because if Donald Trump helps you to defeat Boko Haram, if he did, who is going to help you defeat kidnappers? Who's going to help you defeat farmers or Fulani? And when Donald Trump is gone, what happens next? Let me tell you, we had the excitement during Bring Back Our Girls. All the American celebrities, Obama's wife, Bring Back Our Girls, PDP, the girls, some of them are still in captivity. Are you getting my point? So what we are saying is that, look, start looking at what is, you know, the countries that have succeeded today who are prosperous, who are united in any way, who are making progress, are countries who decided that, we want to restore our dignity. So you must have that epiphany, that, aha moment where you say, look, we can't keep relying on other people to help us. Because I think if we are not waiting for Donald Trump, we are waiting for the second coming of Jesus Christ to provide light, provide roads for us. So I want to let people snap out of that lethargic state in which they are always
but they're
lazily
saying this out of a sense of hopelessness, that the political class has continuously failed them and failed
that's exactly the position.
Protect
that's
the lives of Nigerians.
What Donald Trump should have done, or anybody in the world should have done, is to cite Nigeria for the failure to protect. The failure to protect as a doctrine applies actually to parents, mostly, who refuse to act as parents, and maybe their children get into
social services.
Yes, and then people go and take your child away from you. That is where Nigeria is. But that failure to protect includes protection of Muslims and Christians alike. Where people don't understand my position coming from is that if we are fighting Boko Haram, we must defend Muslims who are also victims and Christians. And we must also defend those who are unreligious, who are also being persecuted sometimes by Christians and Muslims alike. Wasn't it in Akwa Ibom one time that a woman who is a bishop was driving nails into the head of children?
Yeah.
Is that not failure to protect under Akpabio's government? So as somebody who has a sense of history, as somebody who understands what America is about and what their external interest is about, or their foreign policies are about, we can say to you that you're just wasting your time thinking that salvation will come from there. The same America that you are inviting and celebrating to come here was the one supplying bombs to Israel to kill Palestinians. Why can't we think that if they really love the world
and providing diplomatic cover
for
vetoing calls for ceasefire.
Okay, so these are the things I, like every one of you, condemns bad leadership. Everybody know my position about that. So that you don't get it wrong that maybe my position in some way provides support for the ruling government. No. Okay. I want them to be gone yesterday because of their failure to protect the people of Nigeria. But I am not doing it in such a way that I'm foolish to think that America will come and save you. America has never saved any country. The guy they were against in Syria is now the president of Syria. The Taliban, they fought for almost a decade. They are back in power. You know what they did in South Africa. You know what they did elsewhere. So they're not coming to save you. They don't have a policy in place, especially the Trump administration, to save a black person.
Okay, let's talk about Nigeria now, and let's come back to...
But that doesn't exclude or excuse the laziness of these leaders. But I'm saying Nigerians, rise up against your leaders yourself, so that when you clean out the place, that's why I support a revolution. Nobody will come from outside to say, well, now that we have helped you, can we take your oil or your diamond or whatever you have, or can we enslave you again? Even our forefathers are better than us. The Obanogba Oworonshoki of Benin fought against white people. There was a battle in Akasa, I think it's in the current Bayelsa or River State, where they clashed with Lord Lugard and his people over the ability to sell palm oil. Do you think those people didn't know that these people have intentions? People came and carried you as slaves several miles and, have done colonization. They have done Cold War. We're expecting that they'll come and save you. Right. And everybody's on Twitter, oh, let America come. Let America come. Okay, what if America doesn't come?
Okay, let's now talk about Nigeria and talk about you and what the next steps are. So it's a two-fold question as quickly as you can. The update regarding the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest case and what the next steps are for you from here. Are you going to the police station or, what should we expect? I
thought you guys said there's a police station around here.
Yes.
Yeah, Area G, Ogba.
Do you think those ones can handle my case? Maybe. No, my lawyers are we're going to handle that. We've discovered that the Lagos State Police Commission has no right to declare me wanted. In fact, we are preparing to sue them for defamation of character and a violation of my fundamental rights. But they are at liberty to do what they usually do, stupid things. They can arrest me, and we'll take it from there. I'm not new to this, so I declared on my Facebook page yesterday. I was declared wanted for the first time by the police in 1994. In this, that's like almost 30 years ago. And what was it? I was fighting against cultism at the University of Lagos, and they didn't like it, and they ganged up against me. After I was declared wanted, I was expelled from the university. But the guy who declared me wanted was James Dambaba, who was CP of Lagos at that time. He died a miserable death. He was one of the people arrested with Mustafa for supplying weapons that killed Kudirat Abiola and also shot Alex Ibro. So anytime you see this happening, there's a deeper issue behind it. And that is why I can't wait, whatever it takes, that we fix this country. Because we can't continue like this.
Okay, and then the update regarding the Nnamdi Kanu case?
Well, we've done what has opened up to the nation the need to discontinue the sham trial. And I think the country has come to the realization that it's a sham trial. They also have started having some conversation. They claim it's political resolution. I think it forced onto the national stage a massive injustice that is done by using the judiciary against a Nigerian. And I would say to people, for people who clamor for national unity, there are low-hanging fruits. One of it is, Nnamdi Kanu, we free him, we de-escalate that tension, So, because without resolving that issue, you are not going to, even if the court tomorrow convicts Nnamdi Kanu, you are still going to have to free him because you already admitted that's a contentious issue. So that's the problem. And but these people, they bring problem to every solution. We bring solution to their problems.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Sowore, for speaking with us this morning. And we hope that you would resolve the issue with the Lagos CP anytime soon.
I hope they remove the CP before I get out of here. He's incompetent.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you so much for staying with us.
Thank you so much for your time.
We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a look at what the front pages of the newspapers are saying. So do well to stay with us here on Breakfast Central.
Hello, welcome back to Breakfast Central. It's now time for us to look at the newspaper front pages, and joining us for analysis is Professor Simeon Na. Thank you so much for your time. There's a lot happening in the country, and unprecedented times indeed. So let's get straight into it by starting with the Vanguard newspaper. The headline there says, Trump, National Security Advisor Service Chiefs meet as U.S. President intensifies threat. This kind of sounds alarmist. The writer says ground operation airstrikes could be part of U.S. attack in Nigeria. It says Trump, he made that statement on the Air Force One. ADC blames Tinubu for Nigeria's blacklisting. Violence erodes investor confidence, it says experts. Consequence of incompetence, says Mr. Peter Obi, and Governor Adeleke seeks diplomatic solution. Then we also have on the front page of the Vanguard newspapers, INEC vows enhance result management and credible polls in Anambra yesterday. And there was also a peace parley, a signing of a peace accord between all the candidates in Anambra State elections, which will happen this weekend. They signed a peace accord saying that they will accept the results and none of them would call for violence. Pre, during, and post-gubernatorial elections. Security men shot PDP secretariat amid escalated tensions. And the High Court has also put a pause to the conventions, the upcoming conventions. Not faults federal government welfare claims, demands truth over fiction. But let's start with the biggest. Your demolition must have human faces of Akiolu to Lagos state government. Shake up as Navy reports 65 admirals. Let's start with the big one. Trump, national security service chiefs meet as U.S. president intensifies threat. What's your take on all of this?
You know, we have always said this fire brigade approach to issues don't work. You must be proactive, not reactive. Now, when these things were brewing up, everybody knew. People came from U.S. to do some investigation here. They took video clips, they made interviews, and instead of you walking towards it, you employed some attack dogs to change the narrative. In fact, one of the guys from the U.S. said that Reynold Mokore was a serial liar, according to him. That was what he said, because he said that the facts were misrepresented by him. And the government saw some of these things. That was when a serious government would have gone in. Of course, we don't have ambassadors. So what do? I just learned recently that the 3 frontline people at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs are not career ambassadors. The permanent secretary, the minister, and the junior minister. They are all non-career diplomats.
It will be hard to believe that
they are non-career diplomats, and we don't have diplomats
in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Is not. Yeah. I mean, how is he a permanent secretary if he's not a diplomat?
Well, he's not a career diplomat. Yes. That's what we're saying. This the minister and the junior minister and the minister himself, they are diplomats, but they are not career diplomats. They are political diplomats, if you like, because they were appointed to head foreign missions without going through the mills. So we have career diplomats and non-career diplomats. These ones are not career diplomats. You see? So at the end of the day, how do we manage a country like this? 2 years plus, we don't have ambassadors.
But yesterday we had Temitope Ajayi, the SSA's representative of media and publicity, and he said that... Sorry?
He said soon, appointment soon.
Yeah, he said it will happen before the end of the year. And then he gave a reason.
After 2 years
he said
plus.
Funding. He did give a reason that of
funding challenges and the state of the embassies, that they want to fix it first.
Hold on. Don't gaslight me with that.
I mean,
funding with all the monies we are making from this subsidy removal, and you're talking of funding, so what are they doing with the money? And all the borrowings we are doing, so what are they doing with the money? Just sharing the money between themselves? No, this country needs to be more serious than this. We need to be more serious than this.
Your advice, I mean, because nobody will want to see foreign bombs raining on their territory, and also to, safeguard a bit of our dignity, because the language President Trump used, the now disgraced Nigeria, it carries all of us. We're all Nigerians, so we're kind of also disgraced. Yeah. So how do we recover from this? And how would you advise the president to approach this?
If you read his comment precept by precept, line by line, there was a proviso. He said, if the government does not get to work,
the condition, yes.
Yeah, that's the like the IMF will say, conditionality.
Yes.
That's one of the conditionalities. So if the government stop this rhetorics and get down to work, to smoke this out, I think that's the condition.
What's getting down to work? Because Olive shared with us just earlier tweets from the Nigerian presidency, doing nice infographics about the composition of Christians and Muslims in Nigeria, and also giving projections that in 2030, 2050, it will be this. Is that your idea of getting to work?
Projection, 2050, it will be what? You see, we used to have a rolling plan in this country. And my question is, why was that idea jettisoned? Because that rolling plan would have given you time to plan. It was a 5-year rolling plan, a 10-year rolling plan, or even a 3-year, the short-term rolling plan. It will give you time to plan for a particular project, so that by the time you are getting there, you would have known what to. But this time around, we just have a brainwave, and we begin to do something. Halfway down the line, we make a detour. Countries are not run that way. No countries run that way.
Okay. All right. I want us to look at, there's a lot of stories still on the Vanguard, plenty of them that we could touch on. Shake up as Navy redeploys 65 rear admirals. I'm sure you know that the president had already changed the chiefs before the United States statement. But let's look at this one. Oba Akiolu to Lagos State Government. Your demolitions must have human face. Last guest who left the studio, Omoyele Sowore, is being wanted by the police because of standing out and leading a push or a walk against the demolitions we've seen at Oworonshoki. What's your take on the consistency in demolitions of buildings in Lagos State, especially of recent?
I want to start with the place and I'll go to the demolitions. Now, the place must get serious because it's only in Nigeria that policemen and other security forces will aid people in the night to go and tear gas a community and bring down their buildings in the night. I don't think it will happen. That's why Akiolu was saying what is Akiolu was saying what he was saying. You don't do that. That's not what should be done in a sane country. Now you go and demolish people's houses. You come back and give all manner of rhetorics on television that you gave notices and what have you. And in some cases they don't give notice. In some cases, not in all cases. There are cases where they give notice. In some cases they don't give notice. For instance, the the trade fair that they went to demolish, there was no notice. And they don't have a single right to go there because that's federal land. There's no concurrent jurisdiction. Because I hear them throwing tantrums that there is concurrent jurisdiction. I've listened to lawyers. I've listened to people that know. They said, no, there is no concurrent jurisdiction. That place is strictly federal
lands and property.
Well, police had come out to deny attacking citizens during the demolition exercise, but we'll touch on that more when we come back from this break.
Welcome back. We're still taking a look at the front pages of the newspapers. Our next paper will be the Punch newspaper. That's what we're going to go to. Tinubu moves to appoint new ambassadors amid U.S. tension. Diri joins APC, tags PDP, sinking ship. Fresh travel tax scheme worth $1 billion sparks protest. Governors battle week as PDP factions jostle for control. Police seal PDP HQ. Wike-backed chair moves in. Damagon block fumes. Tension ahead of convention. Governor Paul Amupita visits Anambra. Parties signed peace accord. OPS Labour rejects 20,000 naira note. NDLA discovers new cannabis variant, California loud in Lagos. Okay, let's go straight to Diri joining APC. It tags PDP as sinking ship.
Well,
what's your take on that?
It's a no-brainer that PDP is an intensive care unit, but all of them are culpable because when this Ferrero started, they would have nipped it on the bud by either suspending Wike or asking him to leave the party. But because he was financing the political party, because he equally said it himself, I watched him over the television yesterday or so, when he was saying that nobody in the party has committed so much more than him. Let the person come and say, you see, so they relied so much on his finances, and he was bringing in chairmen and removing them. At the last count, he has brought in 4 chairmen, and he has equally removed them. So what is befalling PDP today, they brought it on themselves. I don't see them. It will take a miracle, maybe the 10th wonder of the world, for them to survive the onslaught now, because it's gotten so messy that even their convention, and from what I'm hearing, if that convention is not held between 14th and 15th, there's going to be serious lacuna in the party. So let's see how it goes. Maybe they have a magic wand that we don't know.
Do you think that their convention will still hold on the 15th? They're insisting. We had Adetokobo Pierce earlier, and he says the convention will still hold.
What's the word now? Okay. Well, what I want to say is that
silver lining.
Yes, there's a problem there. They can go on with the convention, but if they do, I need to tell them without any hassles that everybody that is elected in that convention will be null and void and of no effect.
For litigation.
Yes. And if they go into the election with those people, they will win election, and our courts will remove those things from them. So that's why they should do the needful now, because it's not tomorrow now. They say this and that happened. They should do the needful now, ensure that they vacate that court order. Because lawyers are saying, no matter how useless you think a court order is, you must obey it. So if they refuse to obey that court order now and go to that convention, I'm sorry. Everything they are going to do will be null and void and of no effect at the end of the day.
All right. We have Francis calling from Port Harcourt. Good morning, Francis. Thank you for calling. Please head to your point.
Good morning, my two beloved people there and the guests. You know, the other gentleman, I'm still waiting for his campaign. He said he wants to be president of an estate that we don't know. So,
president of an estate.
That's Gbenga.
Francis, I'll keep you informed.
All right, go ahead.
PDP issue. For this PDP issue, it's I don't know. These guys are the reason, both PDP, APC, I will tell you, PDP, APC, Labour, and all the political parties, they are the same thing.
Yeah.
No ideology.
Exactly.
There is nothing you will now tell me that this is what these people believe in, and this is what these people believe in. Let me tell you, there is one thing all of them believe in. All of them believe in getting power. That is all they believe in. So anybody who moves from party A to party B, from party B to party C, whatever, wherever they like, let them move to. They are the same 10 and 10 pence. That is by the way. For my beloved brother called Donald Trump, let him take it easy. You know, he's now, I see him as the best content creator the world has ever seen. So that's what he's doing. He's creating content that will never see the light of day. Does it mean this gun violence in America, they're killing people, killing blacks? That is not genocide. That is not a problem. I will say it and I will end with this. America has never gone into any nation to liberate them and that nation come back normal or better.
I agree.
Finally, Nigerian politicians will always wonder why we believe them, even when they don't believe themselves. Nigeria is a good phone, but we need a better charger. We are yet to see that charger. Thank you.
Nigeria is a good phone, but we need a better charger.
That's right. I've always said that America is the most selfish country of the world, while UK is the most crafty. I've always said that. America does not go where it will not benefit. It has never happened to us. I don't think it will happen now. Look at the time they took on Iraq. It was because of Kuwait. A lot of people didn't know that they had a place in Kuwait, in the oil of Kuwait. That was why they went against Iraq. But they gave you a different narrative, that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, that they want to inspect their armory, knowing fully well that's not possible. At the end of the day, they attacked Iraq. After the attack, they came back to say they didn't find any weapon of mass destruction.
And there were
most of us,
millions dead.
Yes, most of us that knew what happens or knows what happened in the diplomatic circle knows that if you want to do anything, you will sell a dummy that people will buy. So that's what they normally do. They sell a dummy that people will buy. And when you buy that dummy, they will now come in and do what they want to do.
You're very right. And what you said about the British, that they are very crafty.
Very crafty.
Reminds me of what an Indian parliamentarian said, Shashish Tharoor, Oxford graduate. He said, the sun never sets on the British Empire because even God could not trust the British in the dark.
You can say that again.
Let's take this call from Kenneth from Abuja.
Good morning, Kenneth.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
All right.
I heard what two people are saying on the radio station. I want to make my contribution. Good morning.
Please go ahead.
Go ahead.
Regarding to Nigerian problem, our leader has been incompetent for a very long time. When you settle down with the local communities, when you stay with them, you notice that these people, they mean well for the country. But when you are not in the same line, when you're not in the same line or in the same class with the rich people, they look at you as less. So before you hear America coming in to come and help, they have the facts. They have facts on ground that our leaders are not telling us. That is the problem. So Nigeria has been in that same cycle for a very long time, pretending that, oh, we can handle this issue, oh, we can do it, we can manage this country, oh, it's a communal clash, is this and that. The cry of the poor has reached the Americans. And Nigeria has been weighed in a balance and found one thing. So this one of, if the present time, let's negotiate, all this is to buy time to see how to take American attention from the real fact. So we cannot continue in this cycle. When you plan to do a protest, a good protest, they send their so-called people they pay to come and disrupt the protest. So I don't see America as any pretending country. You are talking about oil. How many of the Nigerian citizens have benefited from that oil? I serve in Oworonshoki, where we have oil coming out as a core member then, 2021, 2022. I saw oil coming up as the Shekiri community. This oil, people have oil, and you people are still fighting yourselves. You don't look at your primary school, no chairs. Why can't you settle down and make use of this oil that you are benefiting? They are taking this oil far to different parts of the country. Okay, and they are saying Nigeria don't have this. So America should come in. America should come. Even if they are coming, they will come and benefit from there. Are we benefiting from the oil?
Wow.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Let me have you respond to this.
Yes. I'll respond this way. You see, the government in power is being paid in their own coin. If you have been followed the trajectory of what is going on, in 2014, they went to the same America to paint the narrative that removed Jonathan. That is exactly what is playing out.
Then
today.
Secretary of State,
yes.
John Kerry was in Nigeria.
Now, today, the opposition or some of the people that are affected, there was a man that was a reverend in Plateau. I have the video here that showed 501 people that were killed in one night. And you see, the social media is everywhere. The world is a global village today. So nobody should come and gaslight anybody. They know, they see some of these things. They have come here to investigate. So some of these things are in the public domain. So this issue of living in denial, we should leave that for now and go to the nitty-gritty of what is going on and find a way to resolve the issues before it gets too late.
Okay, let's really take the last paper. We're out of time. On the Daily Trust newspaper, at the front page, you can see very interesting headlines. At the top left corner, at 1,422 Naira to $1, Naira records highest gain in October. Then if you look at the bottom, the middle story there says, Nigerian stocks shared 244.9 billion Naira amid Trump's threat. So it's like good news and a bit of skeptical news there. Parties, voters reject Niger local government poll. Bago's convoy attacked. 19 bandits killed in Kano as border attacks escalates. Pro-Wike faction NWC takes over PDP secretariat. Pregnancy cases on the rise in Borno IDP camps, which again is another offshoot of insecurity problem.
Those people shouldn't even be in IDP camps in the first place.
Exactly.
And they are jobless. So what do you expect them to do?
Okay, I mean, just your final thoughts, maybe on the seeming rise, 1,422 Naira to $1, and then the stocks have shared 244.9 billion Naira, even though when I looked at it, Nairametrics says, yes, it's 244.9 billion, but that is 0.25%.
When you look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, when you look at the bigger picture, that's not out of place to say automatically this is as a result. It might be as a result of what Trump said over the course of the weekend, because this is the first day of
first
working day after the weekend, but that is not a significant shock.
Yeah. They always direct us to the bigger picture. Why are they not showing us the smaller picture? Because when you talk of macroeconomics, you are looking at statistics that you are going to use to do this and do that and do the other one. Why are they not talking of the macro that will affect the citizens of this country? Now, dollar rising to 109, you know what that, you know the implication of that. Even pepper in the market, the price will swell up. Because at the end of the day, it will affect fuel. And once fuel is affected, every other commodity in the market is affected. So the masses are going to suffer more. That's a challenge. 1,900, can you imagine that?
No, 1,422. So Naira has actually gained.
It has gained?
Yes, it has gained.
You say 422.
Okay,
okay.
Yeah, so Naira has gained. The only thing is in terms of the stocks, the stocks have shared as at yesterday was 244 billion Naira. But they say it's modest, that is 0.25% loss, and that's within the expected margin.
Well, if Naira has gained, okay, because I didn't get that. I thought you said
no, Naira has gained.
I've not looked at the stock. I've not looked at the exchange rate this morning.
And we cannot
so if Naira has gained, yes. Well, it means well for the country, because the stocks, how many poor men are buying stocks and shares? Yes. Although at the end of the day, when these things happen, it has a way of affecting the industry, and that's why you saw some of the companies leaving Nigeria.
Yes.
Because the investor confidence is eroded and companies are leaving the country as a result of that.
We're almost out of time, but I need you to speak on the National Association of Resident Doctors strike. The bottom right corner of the Daily Trust says, Tinubu orders immediate resolution. Yesterday we had the president join us, and he has gone on strike from the 1st of November.
The president
of NARD, yes. The president of NARD joining us, and he said, if their 19 demands are not met, they're not calling off the strike.
You know how long they have been pressuring government, going on warning strikes and what have you. The question I've always, and I continue to ask, is the monies we are generating, the billions and trillions, where are these monies going to? The lecturers are on strike, the doctors are on strike, these people are on strike, the other people are on strike. Why? Why are they not being paid? The governors are receiving jumbo FACA allowances every month. So what is going on? Can't this money be deployed to at least help the common man?
And the issues are even beyond just monetary. Like the
everything boils down to money at the end of the day. The allowances and what have you, the certificates and what have you, everything boils down to cash.
And then the response of the government. I'm seeing here the Daily Trust reports that the federal government has announced the establishment of a task force in the ministry to conduct unscheduled visits to hospitals to monitor those not participating in the current strike. Those who are not on the strike should be on the ground doing their work. You see
the problem. You see the problem. Divide and rule. Divide and rule. What they do?
You didn't set up task force to fix the issues.
Once they come into government, they go and read Machiavelli the Prince, divide and rule, and that's what they do. They come and divide people and they settle some people so that some people will now be black sheep. You have moles everywhere. You see, things don't work that way. Do the right thing, and you see the government will flourish. I don't know why we are going forth and back. This fire brigade approach to invent cannot work. This is why we are giving enough warning that government should settle down with them and these issues are resolved. Now, if you cannot resolve the 19, at least when you go a long way, people will support you and say, doctors, the government have tried now. But a situation where you're not doing anything, you're just speaking grammar, you're finding a way to divide the rank and file so that you can make them redundant. It doesn't work anywhere. It doesn't work anywhere, and it will not work here.
Anyway, that's all for today. Thank you so much, Professor Mohammed, for